If you don't know who I am, my name is Rory. In the last 3 years, I went from being fat to jacked. I did it without a coach. I basically coached myself. I learned about dieting, training, recovering. And because of the fact that I've implemented the knowledge that I had learned, I have seen a lot of results. In this video, I will tell you how to know whether you actually make progress in your journey or not. So, what is progress? Progress is essentially a physique change from higher body fat to lower body fat, from lower muscle mass to higher muscle mass. Getting jacked is basically about increasing muscle mass and reducing body fat. It is the goal when training, and because of the fact that it takes a lot of time to show, you don't just go and train once and twice and 3 times and then you are in an amazing shape. It takes weeks, months and even years in some cases. We actually need to have some indicators to whether we are on the right path or not, just so we don't make deadly mistakes that will compound over weeks, months and years and see larger suboptimal results over this time frame. There are two types of indicators that you can use, short-term ones and long-term ones, in diet and in training. Let's go over short-term indicators because they are the ones that you see just when training or just after training or dieting, right, in your day-to-days. When you just implement it short-term, basically you might see them after an hour, a day, and no more than a week. When it comes to training, they're extremely short term. Things like you getting close to muscular failure, you seeing a great pump in the mirror, you have delivered a blood to the muscles. If you follow these two indicators and you see them, and they're there, and you train close to muscular failure with a pretty decent technique, and then when you look in the mirror, you actually see a pump, which means that blood was delivered to the right muscle. You see in this muscle group a pump, then that's a sign that you have trained it, and a great sign of hypertrophy, especially if you train close to muscular failure. When it comes to diet, short-term signals are macro balance, the calorie balance, and hunger. So macro and calorie balance, you need to track calories in order to realize what they are basically, but they are pretty much the best predictor for progress long term because right calories, they determine body composition. At the end of the day, macros, protein, they also determine body composition to a large extent, right? After calories, by tracking them on a daily basis and making sure that you hit the right numbers without lying to yourself, you have a great indicator of progress. And with enough time you will see long-term progress that I will go over in a second. But hunger, this is one that you don't really need to track anything to feel because you feel it just by living. If hunger goes down, then that's a sign that you might be eating more calories than you think. Basically, if you feel a lot of satiety throughout your days, it is not a direct sign that you're eating more calories than you burn, because calories are not the only thing that affect hunger, but it is a pretty decent sign. So let's say that you're on a weight loss diet and in one day you feel way more satiety than usual. You know, that's a sign that you have eaten a bit more in the days before the day. Why? It is everything in relation to baseline. If you, after setting a baseline of hunger when losing weight, and you saw that you lost weight around 1 pound, 2 pounds, and you feel this level of amount of hunger, if it goes down after a few days of doing something differently than usual, it's a sign that this different thing involved consuming more calories. Of course, it is not accurate to the greatest extent, but it is fairly accurate. Because of these things being just a proxy to progress and not a direct cause to progress, we also need to use the long-term progress, which are way more accurate at the end of the day. Why? Because long-term progress, so once you will hear them, you will realize. When it comes to training, there are you getting stronger throughout the weeks and you getting bigger, right? You have realized what when I said this. If you get bigger, of course you've made progress, because that's what progress is. If you get stronger, of course you've made progress, because that's what progress is. Diet-wise, it is about losing weight if you want to lose weight, or gaining weight if you want to gain weight, seeing body composition changes reflecting the scale, and seeing visible changes to your physique. These are the long-term changes that, if short-term signals are on point to some extent, you should be able to see after a few weeks. In order to realize whether you actually make progress or not, what I suggest you to do is to start by searching for these short-term indicators, the pump, the proximity to failure, the diet and everything, hunger. If you lose weight, you should see more hunger than usual and vice versa. But as time will go on, if you don't see the visible changes, then you don't really make progress. You should find why you don't make progress by learning online or checking out the course in the description, which is free, and then readjusting and then seeing if you make progress once again. If you don't, readjust again, feedback, right? And with enough time, you will see great progress. So for example, if you go and you try to lose weight, but your hunger goes down, and then after a few weeks of doing it and your hunger going down, you start to gain weight, that's a sign that you are not really losing weight. Because you're not losing weight. Readjust, reduce calories, increase the consumption of foods that are more low calorie dense, and then see if hunger reflects the change and weight reflects the change, and if they don't, readjust again. On the other side, if hunger reflects weight gain, but weight changes reflect the opposite, you are golden, because it is a much more reliable proxy for progress. So it is about, it's short term, making sure that proxies are on point, that your hunger reflects weight changes, that your calories reflect your goal, right? And then long term, seeing if the long term changes reflect your goal, and if they do, great. If they don't, if your body doesn't change, if your weight doesn't change, and if your strength doesn't change or goes down, change things, find what's the mistake that you're making, and stop making it. And that's essentially it. If you enjoyed this video, you can subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.